Hi, I'm very glad to see you here. In this video, I'm going to explain what the panic attacks did to me and what I did exactly to overcome them. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you the magic bullet. If you want to stop your panic attacks, your anxiety, there's a couple of things that you need to do, a lot of things. But there's one magic bullet, and that thing is coming up at the end of the video. But at first I would like to explain a little bit what the panic attacks did to me. My name is Geert. My English and American clients call me Gert because they can't pronounce Geert. And I am from Belgium, from Brussels, here in Europe. We have these things called Brussels sprouts. It's a delicious vegetable. I don't know if you ever ate it, but it's delicious. Now back to my story. I was someone who had a fear of death. I constantly thought that something was wrong with me. I was constantly feeling my heart rate. I was constantly dizzy. I had headaches. I was constantly going under scans. This is my brain scan, for instance. I had blood testing done. I was a regular patient in the ER. My doctor really saw me more than he saw his own mother, I think. And it was a little bit of a problem. I was also afraid of driving. I had a big fear of driving, especially on those big freeways and tunnels on bridges. I was afraid when I had to stop in front of a red light. I was also someone with a social phobia. I was afraid of other people. I was afraid of what they would think about me. And every time that I was somewhere, I was constantly thinking, what if I faint? What if I get a red face? What if they see that I tremble? What if I stutter, if I can't speak normally anymore? What if this, what if that? I was constantly wondering, what are they going to think? So when there were too many people, I was afraid, but when I was all alone, I was afraid as well, because what if I get something? What if I die and no one finds me? You see, it was constantly a problem. And it all started when I was 9 years old. I was having New Year, it was New Year's Eve at the Belgian coast here with my parents in a little apartment that we rented. And that's the very first moment that it started. We were sitting at a table and all of a sudden I could feel this wave of warmth going through me, and I was very hot. It was so hot, and it was in the middle of the winter, but it was very hot for me, and I could see it. My hands were a little bit red. I got those tingling sensations all over my body. I could feel my heart was really pounding very, very fast, and I got some black spots in front of my eyes. I started getting a headache. I was nauseous. I really had some sweats. And I was afraid that I was going to faint because the dizziness was amazing and I had never felt that before. But we were sitting at our table and my parents were there. I had a friend invited over there. My sister was there. And, I just couldn't say anything about it because I knew they wouldn't understand anyway, so I didn't say a thing. But that was the very first time that it happened. And the anxiety tiger, as I call it, and I'll show it to you. This is the anxiety tiger. Every time I have a panic attack, this is what you have then. You see the anxiety tiger. The anxiety tiger came every year. Every time that I had a New Year's Eve, there was the panic attack again. It remembered me and it came to visit every year. Not fun, of course. But it was still okay. Then at the age of 14, the problem got bigger and bigger. When I was in a restaurant, for instance, with my parents, I always made sure that I could see the exit, that I knew where the toilets were, and that when I wanted to get up, no one else had to get up before me, so I was free to get out whenever that was necessary. And every time that they brought me my plate with the food on, I would already start to feel nauseous and my heart, and then the sweat attacks, the dizziness, everything came back in restaurants. And that was a little bit of a problem because after the restaurants I had it in the supermarket. I would go get my groceries because I helped my parents out a little bit, and then I would be waiting in line to pay at the checkout counter, and I would stand there and all of a sudden I would feel it. Pounding heart, dizziness, a red face, the feeling that I could faint any second. And then I would look around and see there are people in front of me, there are people behind me. What if I faint? What are they going to think of me? They are going to think I'm crazy, that something is wrong with me. I don't want all this attention. And I would just flee. I would just run out of the supermarket and leave my groceries over there. That was a big problem, of course, because it was really starting to limit my life. And then when I was home alone, I constantly thought that I would have a cancer or a tumor. I got the CAT scan done. I got a lot of these problems, but it didn't stop there. Then I was 18 years old, and here in Leuven, it's a big town where we have a big university, the biggest one in Belgium, I think even in Europe. It's a very big university, and I was sitting there to do my exam. And for the exams, we had those long rows of seats and a little desk. And because of my name, I had to sit in the middle. So there were other people besides me, and if I needed to get up to go to the toilet or just to run away, then they had to get up as well. So I sat down, and all of a sudden I saw it. People and people. People all over the place. Uh-oh. And they brought me my exams. I was already sweating. I was already trying to manage myself, trying to control those feelings, trying to make them go away. And I was thinking things like, come on, why is this happening now? Why here? Not now, please. God, don't let this happen right now. And I was frustrated. I was really panicking. Then I got my exam, and I was supposed to start filling in things, but I was so stressful. And I remember looking down, and the professor was sitting there, and he was looking up at me, and he was looking right into my eyes. And he probably thought, oh man, that guy really is working very hard on his exam. But I wasn't, of course. I was working on myself. I was so scared, and I failed big time that very first year. I mean, I had 20% as a score. That is not enough to go through. So, I mean, it was a big failure. And my life was starting to break down, starting to fall down. A couple of weeks after the exam, I took my girlfriend out to go to see a movie. And when I entered the movie theater, my body did something amazing. It said, hey Geert, this place looks kind of familiar. You have these rows of people. When you want to get up, other people need to get up. You're encapsulated. You can't get away when you want to. You should have a panic attack here. And then there it came. The tiger was there again. I had a panic attack in the movie theater, and the movie didn't even start. I mean, the movie wasn't even going. I was sitting down, and it started right away. And I had my girlfriend sitting next to me, and I was like, trying to manage myself again. And she said, what's wrong? Can I do something for you? Can I help you? And I said, no, please just leave me alone, because how do you begin explaining such a problem to someone else that has never felt it? They simply don't understand. And I lost that girlfriend only a couple of weeks later because I wasn't fun to be around anymore. And I don't blame her, because for other people that were around me at that time, it wasn't fun. I always said no. I always lied and made excuses not to have to join them when they wanted me to do something with them. And I simply wasn't fun to be around. I was a negative person. I was depressed. I was full of anxiety at all times. And again, I don't blame them. It's quite normal that they behave like that, because when you break your leg, for instance, they can see your problem. But when you have panic attacks, they can't. And that was a little bit of a problem, of course. So then I said, this has got to stop. I was afraid in my car. I was afraid in the movie theater, in the supermarkets, in restaurants, in bars, in clubs. I was afraid when I was in my own house. I didn't have a life anymore, and I was still so young. So I said, come on, I mean, this cannot go on anymore. So I went to see my family doctor, and I explained him exactly what I explained to you right now. The exact same story. My doctor looked at me, and he said, you know what, Geert? I'm going to prescribe you some antidepressants. You're old enough now, it's time for antidepressants. And he gave me some antidepressants, and I said, okay, he's a doctor, he probably knows what he's doing, and pills, you know, pills, they do help sometimes, so I'm going to take those pills. The first night I took them, I immediately had those severe side effects. I was more afraid. I got symptoms I didn't even feel before. And I got all of those weird aches and pains inside of my body, and they scared me to death, because again, my fear of dying was there again. And I went back to my doctor and I said, doctor, this isn't working. So what he did is, he looked into his computer. I saw this other brand of pills, I'm going to prescribe that one to you. And that continued for weeks and weeks, and I always came back and I said, doctor, please stop prescribing me pills, because I don't want to take pills. Plus, I had been reading on the internet, and I saw stories of people that had taken pills for 20 years, for instance, and they still had their panic attacks. So it wasn't the solution. I needed something else. So he said, I'm going to send you to a psychotherapist. I'm going to send you to a therapist, and they will be able to help you. I said, great. Those people, they have really studied this material, so they probably know what to do. And I got to the therapist, the psychotherapist, and I started explaining my story again. And they sat there and they were empathetic. I could see that they were listening to what I was saying, but I saw quite fast that they weren't giving me any responses. They weren't giving me any tips that I could actually use. No, no, no. What they did was, I'm going to prescribe some pills to you. I said, come on, please, stop prescribing me pills. And that again didn't work. And I visited, I think, 15 different, maybe 17 different therapists, psychiatrists, lots of people, and I paid a lot of money to them. And then the final one, I was sitting there and I said, I'm sorry, but what am I supposed to do? This clearly doesn't work, and I'm getting really depressed because of all of these things, all of what I'm feeling. I'm supposed to live my life. I'm depressed. And the psychotherapist said, depressed? But I have pills for that. And I'm sorry, I'm laughing with it right now, but it wasn't funny at the time. They all simply prescribed pills, and I knew that wasn't the solution. So it got me really mad. And then the final psychotherapist also said, maybe you just have to learn to live with it. And that made me really mad, because I wasn't going to live with this problem. I knew there had to be a way out. I wanted to have a great life. And then one night, a couple of weeks later, I was in my bed here at night. That's what people do when they are in bed at night. And I was simply lying there and I couldn't sleep. And I was watching something on television, and I saw a movie theater on television. And simply seeing it gave me a panic attack in my own bed. And to be honest, and it's not easy to say that, I started crying that night, because I was there and I didn't see the end of the tunnel. I was in a tunnel that was so long, so deep, that all that I could see was blackness. And I said, how am I supposed to have a good life? How am I supposed to find a wife? How am I supposed to date anyone? I can't take them out because I'm too afraid to go out. So how am I supposed to do that? When I have kids, what kind of life am I going to offer to them? First of all, I won't have a job, or I won't have a good job, so there won't be any money in the family. But even if there would be money, if they asked me to go on a vacation, on a trip, I would say, no, Daddy can't go on a trip. If they wanted me to take them out swimming or to the playground, I would say, no, I'm too afraid to do that. How am I supposed to live my life like that? And that night was the moment where I was so deep. I haven't ever been that deep ever since. But I'm glad I got to that point, because that was the moment where I said, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Seriously, whatever it takes, this has to stop. I do not want to live my life like this, because I have a fear of death, but this is like being dead. It's the same thing. I mean, I'm living like a plant here. I need to be able to do lots of stuff, and I'm going to find a solution. And I decided to try a new approach. I was going to visit people that had panic attacks, but that survived them, that overcame them. And if I could learn a thing or two from every person like that, I was sure that I would be able to get out of this mess. But in order to do that, I needed to travel. I needed to take airplanes, trains, boats, buses, lots of things, long car rides, and I was scared to death of those things. But I had made a vow, or I had promised myself to do whatever it took. So I said, I need to stick my hand into a box of fire, and it's going to burn my hand, but the solution is somewhere in that box. So it's going to hurt, but I'm going to do it nevertheless. I need to take this leap of faith. And I'm so glad I did. Because I started traveling, and I started meeting or visiting those people, and I had a little notebook with me and a tape recorder, and I simply recorded everything. I wrote it down, I did everything, and I started to create a little cocktail of things that worked for other people. And I thought, if they can do it, so can I. That has always been the thing that I believe. If other people can do a thing, there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to do that. So I continued to write that down. Then I came to the United States, and I visited some seminars from Tony Robbins. I read all the books written by Deepak Chopra. I even listened to all of his CDs. I got to know Dr. Blaylock, Dr. Wilson, for instance, a couple of doctors that have a lot of experience in that field. And I really learned a lot from those people. An amazing amount of information that I never heard before. Because the most important thing was that when I was sitting in front of someone that had had those panic attacks, for the first time in my life, I felt understood. It was the very first time that I could see that the other person knew what I was talking about. When I was talking to my therapist, for instance, they had a lot of empathy. But I could see that they didn't really understood it because they never had, or they didn't really understand it because they never had the problem in the first place. And those people, they did. So I could really see that they understood it. Because when I was talking to my friends here in Belgium, for instance, and I tried to explain my problem, they always said, "Come on, it's just in your head. Stop thinking about it. It'll go away. Just don't agitate yourself. You're too nervous. Just relax and it will all go away." But that doesn't work, of course. If only they knew what it felt like, they would be scared to death, I think. But hey, so those people were really able to help me, and I created something, my little program for myself, and it worked. I was still in the United States at that time, and I started to visit Hollywood, San Francisco. I really had fun. Seriously, it was the first time in my life that I had fun. I was on a couple of flights, for instance, in the United States, and I visited everything, and I did it with a smile on my face, because I knew that I was actually enjoying the flight. I was enjoying driving my car. And here in Belgium, if we are on a freeway, we have 3 lanes. In the United States, for instance, I've been on places, and of course you know this, but there were 8 lanes, even more. And that would have been very scary for me, but it wasn't. It was fun. I was just simply having fun driving my car. And I had a smile on my face. And then I came back here into Belgium, and in Belgium I did something special. So it was 2004, and I was panic attack free. I was only still afraid of white sharks when I was swimming in a big pool. Quite ridiculous, but that was the only anxiety that I really had. So I was happy, and I was thinking, I had been searching and looking for a solution everywhere. So probably there's a lot of people who have the same problem, who have tried everything that's out there, who have been searching the internet, seen therapists, been on Xanax and other medications for tens of years or even longer, and maybe they don't find a solution either. Maybe I can help those people. So I decided to record everything I knew on 14 CDs. And I really took my time, and I recorded 14 CDs and started to manually burn them and sell them here in Belgium and in the Netherlands in Flemish. That's my native tongue, my native language. And a couple of months after I started doing that, something strange happened. There was this women's magazine called Flair magazine, and they ran an article about yours truly, about me. And as you can see right here, that's me. Obviously, I only have one sweater. I'm a very poor guy. That's the only sweater I have. But as you can see, that was me. And the day that this came out, there were more than 12,000 people on my website. That was quite amazing. More than 1,000 of them actually bought my program on one day. I was not prepared for this, of course, because I was still doing everything manually, and I still do until this day. But I had to take a couple of weeks off to serve the need, to fill the need, and to ship it out to everyone. But it was fun. It was truly amazing, because amazing things started to happen. I started to receive emails, videos, testimonials from people that had been following the program. When you start the program, for instance, it takes about 3 weeks before you can handle the tsunami method. That's a special step process that I have to stop a panic attack when you feel it. So it takes about 3 weeks before you really feel that it is working. And then week 7 is the week that I call the change. That's when you can truly go out and do the things that you were previously afraid of. And you get to do them, and you get to feel that you are the boss, that you can control the anxiety and the panic. That's an amazing week, and it's especially at that week that I started to get a lot of feedback from the people that were following the program. But something even more amazing happened when I was taking an airplane from here in Brussels to Greece. It's a 4-hour flight, give or take, and I was sitting in the airplane, and in front of me there was this woman with her husband and her kids. All of a sudden she turns around and she says, "Are you Geert?" And I'm like, yes, and I was a little bit afraid because I said, okay, how does she know my name? It was the first time that I actually met someone who had followed my program, and she explained that she had been on Xanax for more than 8 years. She could stop taking those, she was panic attack free, and this was her first foreign vacation with an airplane, with her family and her kids. And I could obviously see that she was happy, but her husband was happy, her 2 kids were smiling, they were so happy that they could finally go on a vacation with mommy. And it made me so happy. It did something strange because of course I got those testimonials, and of course that I really love receiving those. But when you actually see someone that you've been helping, that's when the true change happens, as I call it. So I decided to create the program in French as well. Je parle le français aussi. I speak French as well. So I did it for France, for the French-speaking part of Belgium as well, for Switzerland and the French-speaking part of Canada. And again, it worked. It took about 3 to 7 weeks, and I started to get some feedback from people that it actually was a great program, etc. And it was amazing for me because when I came back in 2004, I thought somewhere that maybe I just got lucky. Maybe it just worked for me, but it wouldn't work for other people. But it seemed to be something a little bit universal. And then in 2008, the beginning of 2008, I started the program in English for the United States and the United Kingdom. And there again, I got a lot of great feedback. You can find some of that feedback on this website, on the blog, etc. And it's amazing. Now, of course, I have to be very clear about this. I can't help everyone. I'm a regular guy. I'm a regular man who has overcome his own problem and who tries to help other people. But I'm not a guru. I'm not a specialist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a therapist. I'm just a regular man. And there's a little thing that I learned quite fast, and I can see who I can help and who I cannot help. So let me tell you a little story. If I would put 10 people right in front of me right now, and they would all have panic attacks, and then I would ask, who wants a life without panic attacks? 10 hands would go into the air, and they would all say, yes, I don't want panic attacks anymore, please take those panic attacks away. Okay, and then I would say, now remember, I had to stick my hand into the box of fire. And it hurt a little bit, but I knew that the solution was inside. I took a leap of faith. Who is willing to take the leap of faith and to actually do something about the problem? 2 hands would still be in the air. 20% of the people. 80% would say, what? Do I actually have to do something for this? Oh, I thought you were just going to offer me a magic pill, something that I would have to take, and boom, all of a sudden, whoop, the problem would be away. Because, you know, I kind of believe that one day I'm going to wake up without my problem. That's what I believe. So if you ask a certain effort from me, then I don't want to do that. There's a lot I can't do in my life. There's a lot of things I want to do with my friends, my family, in my business life, etc. And I don't do it. But it's not that bad. I mean, someday it is going to go away. Yeah, it isn't, of course. And those are the people that I truly cannot help. They will have the problem forever. And I'm very sorry for them, because it will stay with them simply because they think that it is going to go away. Or because they think that a pill is a solution. Pills aren't the solution. If you're lucky, then the pills will help to hide the symptoms, but they don't take away the cause. The true cause is that you are afraid of the panic attack, fear of the fear, and a pill cannot take that away. You can, of course. And those 20%, they get that message. They want to take the leap of faith. They see the video, for instance, on the website, and they have a certain switch in their head. They already have something like, whoa, this guy is talking about me. I feel understood. That's the feeling that I had, for instance, when I was visiting those people. Then they decide, I am going to do something about this. I'm going to purchase this program. I'm going to take the leap of faith. That's the key word. I had to take a leap of faith. Everyone that has ever followed this program and that is now panic attack free had to take the leap of faith. And they do this. And even then, when they purchase it, somewhere they think, they're afraid. They think, what if this doesn't work for me? But it doesn't stop them. That's the difference between the 80%. The 80%, they think, I don't want to try it because what if it doesn't work? I'm not going to try anything anymore because I've tried so many things. What if it doesn't work? And I can't help them. That's what I found out pretty easily, pretty fast in the beginning. That's why, for instance, I'm never going to try to sell my program to anyone. Here in Belgium, at the beginning, I got some mails from people that said, I don't know if you will be able to help me. And then I say, you are right. I don't know it either, so don't start then. And that was a selection process to quickly see those 20% of people. Now they, of course, are the ones that now have a great life, and those are the ones that send me the testimonials. Last week I had a woman who has had panic attacks for more than 40 years. 40 years! And she took a lot of medication, a lot of pills, etc. And now she lives without her panic attacks. How great is that? She had a dependency of the medication. She was afraid to stop taking them, but she did. She stopped taking her medication on week 11, to be very specific, and she had a little bit of a rebound effect, but because of all the tools and tsunami method, for instance, she knew how to stop those feelings that were coming up. That's amazing. Now, I promised you to talk a little bit about the magic bullet. The magic bullet is a little thing that I can explain in a couple of minutes that will give you a big benefit. For me, when I was still using that thing I'm going to mention in a second, I had nausea, I had the pounding heart, I had sweat attacks, I had the red face, I had anxious thoughts, and that simple thing took that all away. Now, before I explain what it is, and I know that I'm frustrating you right now because you want to know what it is, I need to quickly explain what a panic attack is. When you get a panic attack, you get the fight or flight response. Let's say that you and I are walking in the jungle and all of a sudden we see a tiger, and a real one, not a cute little tiger like this one, but when we see a tiger, we get a panic attack. We either want to fight the tiger or run away, and I suggest that we run away. But at that moment we get an adrenaline rush in our body, and it really prepares us. You know what that feels like, because every time that you have a panic attack, you get that adrenaline rush. But also, for instance, when you are walking downstairs and you almost fall down, you almost trip. Did you ever had that? What happens at that moment is you get an adrenaline shot, and in a millisecond you can move very fast, and I love doing this. You can move very, very fast. That's the adrenaline. And right afterwards, if you feel your heart, you're going to see that it pounds really fast, and of course you're not going to worry about it because you know why it just happened. It's different if you are in your car, for instance, you're driving and all of a sudden you are afraid of something, or in a supermarket, or in a meeting room, or when you're alone or with a group of people. When you feel that, when you're afraid, you are afraid of the panic attack, you still get the adrenaline in your body. Now, the very same ingredient, the ingredient that gives you the very same problem is caffeine. Caffeine does the exact same thing as adrenaline. It is a lot less potent, but it speeds things up. I don't know if you know what it is, but an antioxidant, I'm sure you know an antioxidant is something that heals you. It balances your body, it calms you down. Now, caffeine is a pro-oxidant. That means that it speeds you up, it makes you age faster, and the speeding up is what the adrenaline does. Remember? And the caffeine does the same thing. So when you take it, you might get a pounding heart, you might get some sweat attacks, you might get the red face, you might get the nausea, etc. You might tremble a little bit, but you also get some anxious thoughts. You will think some crazy things, things that will make you think, oh my, what's going on with me? Or maybe you will feel afraid of things that you shouldn't be afraid of, and you realize this, and that scares you even more. That are all things that the caffeine actually does. Now, you can find caffeine in coffee, duh. You can find it in tea, black tea, green tea, and other types of teas. You'll find it in Red Bull and energy drinks. You'll find it in vitamins that are made to give you energy, that contain guarana, coffeine, or caffeine. You'll also find it in medication against headaches, for instance, in aspirin. Some types of aspirin and other types, they contain some caffeine. If you take weight loss supplements, they contain lots of caffeine. Some bulk supplements that you might take as a man, for instance, to get more muscles, they might contain caffeine. So have a look specifically in what you consume, because maybe you think, I don't drink coffee, so this doesn't concern me. It might still concern you. So go and have a look and see what you are taking that contains caffeine. Then what I would like to ask you to do is to stop consuming caffeine 100% for 1 week. In the beginning, I suggest you stop on a Friday, because in the beginning, the first 72 hours, you might get a little bit of headaches. If you get them, that is the Herxheimer reaction, and that is a proof that you had too much caffeine in your body. So that's a good sign, and the headaches will go away. Afterwards, you will be more relaxed, you will sleep better, you might be a little bit more tired in the beginning, but please hang on and go through that period, because you will get your energy back, you will be all relaxed, cool and calm. And the reason that I want to talk about this here is because, of course, on this website, if you buy the CD course, for instance, I will promise that you will stop having panic attacks. But I want to already show you right now that you can control them. If you use this magic bullet, you will feel a change. And for the very first time in your life, probably, you will feel that you control when you are afraid or not. It won't take the entire panic attacks away, of course, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to record 14 CDs and spend so much time in developing the techniques that you can find on the CDs. But this one is a very important one. So I hope that you are part of the 20%. I hope that you are willing to take the leap of faith and to try this magic bullet already. I want to thank you for your attention. I've loved making this video. I hope you will have a look around on the website. Below this video you will find a link to the CD course where I explain what that is exactly. Maybe it's something for you. I suggest you go have a look. And I want to thank you already, and I'll see you in the future. Bye bye.